this damn good. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time, and I came to groove. The whole band's here, and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. Coming out the jacket, cause we're turning up the heat.
Welcome back. This is episode 5, American Democracy Failing, Internal Threat and Extremism Cultivated. I'm your host, Michael P. America, and we're just going to have some real conversation, just me, you, and the mic. And so, like I said, I got a whole new haircut, some fresh new shoes, and, let's get it on. How did we get here? Remember, I've told you over a few episodes here, well, not a few, let's say a couple. America is ranked 36, around 36 as a democracy, not even a working democracy. Americans believe that they actually that we created the phrase democracy. Isn't that interesting? But yet we have no pride in maintaining our democracy. We have no pride in our Constitution. And I got to tell you, our democracy, our concept of democracy and our Constitution is probably some of the most brilliant pieces ever created by man. And we're willing to just let it all go, just to throw it away, just because a few privileged folks want to feel like it's their right to hate everything. That's not them. Wow. Really? Remember, we really didn't start fulfilling our commitment as a nation and a country to the Constitution until civil rights legislation was passed in the late 60s. So think about that, because if all men aren't free, then you do not have a democracy. So you got to understand how that really works. And you can look back as far as, not even that far. Just look at Hitler, what he was doing, what he was trying to do, with our Jewish brothers and sisters. Internment camps, taking away their wealth, destroying them, killing them, gassing them, totally denying them all rights. I mean, unspeakable evil. Absolute unspeakable evil. And and they try to do the Christian nationalist thing too. Oh yeah, you guys that claim that you believe in God and the Bible have no idea what you believe in, but you don't believe in God and the Bible, you believe in something else. Now, a lot of the atheists and those folks who don't know the Bible or whatever, they just think that all Christians have just lost it and man's always fighting over religion. Man's not fighting over religion. Man's really fighting over doing the right thing. Either we all have equality or we don't. That's really where the fight is. And we need to look at it right now, because we're going completely backwards. So all of these things that we learned in school about the establishment of our government, our Constitution, and all of that, the founders of this country and the American nation, right? They're tossing all of that out and they want to rewrite their own script. And basically, some of these guys wish that you were living in the Confederate days because they just want to hate whoever and whatever. And they hate the truth, because when you tell them they're a bunch of racists and they suck, they get all upset. Oh, I'm not racist. I just believe that people should live over there. Well, you have a lot of problems, and the protests today are actually outlining a lot of the discontent. Not so much, with the concept of America, but with America's engagement all over the world. You want to talk about tax-paying dollars, these huge corporations, they don't pay taxes. All these shell companies they have, and it's like, well, on the right, they're like, well, they create jobs. Create jobs for who? Most of the stuff is high tech. A lot of you guys aren't going into high tech. You guys are still dealing with old industry that you've been sold out a long time ago. The wealthy built their wealth here, and then they wanted to increase their bottom line. So they go overseas and, the slave laborers and all of that stuff over there where everything is cheap. And then they decided things were lasting too long. And so now they make everything to break so you can just keep buying it. And how did we get there? Well, remember, episode 4 talked about how everything became a commodity. Just being human becomes a commodity. Just being treated like a human being becomes a commodity. You're supposed to charge everybody for everything, but the reality is the money goes right back to them. They pay you and they get it right back because they don't believe that any of this is your money. And that's how the devil plays it. All right, so I'm not going to get too far in that, but remember, we have protests going on. You need to support the students, but we need to have a real dialogue. You can't, be all authoritative and say, hey, do this because. You can get that in Russia. You can probably get that in China and other places that supposedly that we're not for. I guess unless they're spending money on your campaign. When they start spending money on your campaign, that's when it becomes a big deal. So again, I'll say this again. We're out there right now looking at Russia, and I'm not saying all of us, but look at the Republican Party, and they're so into Russia's money for financing and all of that stuff. They had a whole bunch of Russian actors during the first Trump presidency and his campaign. They were all involved, and we know that Trump is cozying up to Putin. We get that. Come on, man. He wants to be like who they say is possibly the richest man in the world, Putin. Over $200 billion, but they can't figure out, how much because he keeps putting the money under different names, different accounts. But he can only do it because there's a network that allows it. So he's not alone. He's part of a network. And this thing is going worldwide. Don't forget the Panama Papers. You get your hands on the Panama Papers, check it out. Make sure you got the full version so you can see all the players, because you'll probably find that some of the politicians here in the United States, they're players too. Some of these large, corporations, they're, the owners, they're players as well. From the sea of many comes the beast. The beast is industry. The sea of many make industry, and then industry enslaves the many, the people, right? And the wealthy want to be on top of that. Oh yeah, don't forget your AI. I know. I'm not a killjoy when it comes to tech. I'm loving it. I'm a Star Trek enthusiast. I'm all about science. I do have a scientific mind. I can put stuff together. Man, that being said, how did we get here? They spent decades turning you all into consumers, addicted consumers, okay? You had so many scandals that go back. Trump is not the worst president. He just sticks out like a sore thumb, mainly because he's now, okay? He doesn't happen without Bush and Cheney, without the Bush family. I'm sorry, but he doesn't. They crippled American politics. They crippled basically the American government, through their New World Order. And they're not just America. They're going after, they went after pretty much every country on the globe because there is a New World Order coming. And sure, a lot of those players won't live to see it, but, they're into something else. So they believe they're getting their rewards someplace in a religion that you guys haven't even thought of. Sorry, atheists. You forgot these guys because these are some mean SOBs and they're serious. That's why nobody talks about them. Obama was like, hey, we're not going after them. They got war crime charges against them. Come on, man. You're not going to go after him? No, you ain't going to do that because he wouldn't last 2 days in office and he knows that. And I dig Obama. I really do. But nobody gets in power without the green light from the real power, from the wealth. That's just how it works. Maybe it sounds cynical. Maybe it sounds like, a conspiracy theory, but it's truth. And if you open your eyes, you know that. And here's the other thing. So the party that supposedly was the most patriotic seems to enjoy the corruption of choice. Corruption is okay as long as they're the ones committing the corruption, the scandals, the whole nine. Isn't that funny? And that's why the orange man is running as a Republican. He already knows they're vexed and they're willingly gullible. They don't care about the truth. They only care about whatever they're told to care about because they feel that they need purpose. And if their purpose is to exterminate anybody that's not relative to who they are, their party's beliefs, the way that they look and all that, then they're going to take you out. They got us fighting each other. I mean, they did that when they separated The Christians, back in the 1950s, they knew. They put COINTELPRO existed long before they named it COINTELPRO. They just finally figured out a way to compartmentalize their operation and make it more efficient. That's why, I knock on these guys because it's the most ridiculous thing you ever saw. And they're supposed to be Christian, supposed to be Christian, not Christian nationalists. We know that's a bunch of racist garbage. But they're supposed to be real Christians, and there's nothing Christian about what they're talking about. They voted for Bush because he's the guy they can have a beer with. On a bad day, you might find a lot of people you can have a beer with. I don't think that's what they were saying. They voted for the guy because they just feel like he represents them, okay? And that's the craziest thing. So Martin Luther King was talking about gullibility, and let's kind of get into that. I'm just going to read a little bit from Martin Luther King, and then we're going to get on with the show. Okay. So this comes from MLK, his book, The Strength of Love. And, bear with me while I'm trying to read this. All right, Martin Luther King, MLK says, "One day we will learn that the heart can never be totally right if the head is totally wrong." A lot of these words, these simple words, a man who talked about peace and love, guy who, had his doctorate and all of that, talked about peace and love, didn't believe in carrying weapons and shooting people and all this stuff and hating on you. Even if you hated him, he's trying to figure out how do we work this out? How, for the sake, because he was a true patriot, by the way, and they killed him. They knocked him off. The country in a different direction. So he also goes on to say, only through bringing together the head and the heart, intelligence and goodness, shall man rise to the fulfillment of his true nature. And I'll read this to you one more time, okay? Only through bringing together the head and the heart, intelligence of goodness, shall man rise to fulfillment of his true nature, because I have a concept that I'm working on that talks about this, right? Neither is this to say that one must be a philosopher or a professor or an extensive academic training before he can achieve a good life. Now, contrary to that, you guys have been sold that you have to have all these achievements and a ton of money to have a good life. And we're finding out that that's not true. And the illusion is really driving people crazy. That's what we're seeing now, all this unrest, because once the guardians of the illusion have faded away and lifted their hand, they left you with a broken democracy. All right. I know many people of limited formal training who have amazing intelligence and foresight. The call for intelligence is a call for open-mindedness, sound judgment, and love for truth. It is a call for men to rise above stagnation of closed-mindedness and paralysis of gullibility. Ooh, there's that word, gullibility. People think because they're gullible that they have no accountability. And gullible, in the old days, they called you a dupe. Forget the political correctness. You were a dupe. So think about that. Now, they've got all kinds of other terms that's supposed to be politically correct. Come on, man. If a person chooses to be a dupe, they're a dupe. We are all accountable for the rise and fall. It depends on what we do or what we fail to do. So think about that. We are all involved in this. All right. This is a crazy thing. So Martin Luther King, who was assassinated, a guy who talked about peace. He talked about peace, talked about love, talked about turning the other cheek. And yeah, he took a lot of heat for that, took a lot of heat, even from so-called, as people like to phrase it, his own. Okay. We're all Americans, so let's just say a lot of Americans thought, oh, this dude is crazy. He's trying to really be biblical, but he understood what was actually being said in the Bible and the implications of the word. And he wasn't trying to convert people to Christian. That was not his deal. He was trying to convert you into a human being, He was trying to get you into the religion of humanity. Okay. Christianity happened to be the value that he saw that brought him to that humanity. It's very hard to legislate that, because he also said it's very hard to legislate man's will, man's spirit. And this is where we have a problem, is that there are those who just want to be rotten and they want everybody else to suffer because that's the way they feel power. Now, when I was a kid, you couldn't have, allegations and indictments and all this stuff around you and run for office. That just wasn't going to happen. So I guess that becomes the new normal, where you could actually be corrupt or allegedly be corrupt and you can still get in the White House. You could say things that totally sound like a dictator and still get you in the White House. And once they created this whole Christian nationalist movement, which they splintered that, because during the days of the Nazis, you had Americans here you had Marxists, you had communists, you had socialists, you had all of those things. There's nothing new about any of that. It existed. And you had a Nazi movement here. You had a big Nazi movement here. They were they co-opted a percentage of the population while we were at war. These things were going on, and you'll read Library of Congress, they got letters on Prescott Bush telling him to knock off, financing Germany and all that stuff, sending money over there and doing business with them. What did you have? You had IBM, 3M, you had a few of these companies out there that were doing business with Germany, and the Library of Congress has letters to them to say, knock it off or you become an enemy of the state. Those letters get buried. It's kind of hard to find them, but they're there and they are part of history. And so that takes us, you can, move past World War II, moving into the 60s, and you see that the lineage of the characters that were involved, and some of the same characters that were involved then were involved at that time as well. And we had revolutions going on all over the world. We had all kinds of things happening. 60s and, late 50s, 60s, and 70s were very, and even into the 80s. There's a lot of things going on around the world that you guys should familiarize yourself with. And I know a lot of you, don't care. You're just like, give me some money and some cheese and I'm cool. And it's like, the problem is the world that you got to think about the world you leave for your children, your offspring. Your legacy is really how positive and how good you were for other generations, building for other generations, not for yourself. And I'll say that again. Your legacy is really more to do with the positive things that you leave for future generations. So you need to really consider this. We have to take care of each other. We're here for each other. So again, your legacy is about positive things that you leave for future generations. The truth. There's nothing more valuable than the truth, because it gives one sight. Anything else, an illusion blinds you. A lie blinds you. Period. Nobody's doing you a favor by lying to you, telling you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. So, all right, get away from the lecture. Some interesting things that I would like to look at, and we're going to do this. So I'm going to look at this right now. And I think I just kind of want to go over this because it kind of blows my mind. Now, this was written back in 2019. This is, I think it was 2000. Hold on, let me take a look at this right here. Trying to look for a date on this. All right, maybe it wasn't. Something else I'm thinking about. It's not 2019, but I'm not sure how old this article is. It's in foreign policy. Go to foreignpolicy.com, and it's the way that they frame it is interesting. So everybody is, on the left is thinking, all right, let's pile up on Trump because we just want him to fall because the Democrats want to win the election. However, the Democrats are all split, they're just all split up. And that split doesn't really make a lot of sense because they're the party that should be supporting each other 100% in order to maintain and make the democracy evolve. if the Republicans get in power, you can kiss democracy goodbye, because they're not about democracy. They're about utility. What can I say? Dictators, all of that kind of stuff. So in foreign policy, it says all the legal trouble in Trump world. And so to me, it kind of minimizes what I'm talking about. It minimizes everything. But I just want to show you the issues that we have. So for instance, this is what's associated with the guy running for president. Okay. Violation of campaign finance laws. Okay. Wow. So that's out there. And you need to check out the stories, because there's much more to them. You know, some of this stuff has already been prosecuted. Some of the stuff is, it's just still out there. It's floating around. All right. Unregistered foreign lobbying. Why? Because they were getting money from other countries. That's a huge part of it. So you got other countries trying to influence our elections, and Americans are going along with it. And they just happen to be Republicans. But the Democrats are still playing that down too. Like, oh, well, everything's the same. No, it's not. Tell them the truth. You're going to lose your democracy, and these guys are selling you out. But they won't do that. And like I said before, maybe some of these Democrats actually profit off of it as well. Politicians. Irregular super PAC finances. Now, I'm not going to go into what these things are. You can go look it up. All right. Be accountable. Join me. All right. Here's the other one. Allegations of tax fraud and tax evasion by the Trump family. Well, that's just come out again over the last couple of days. And Junior is like, hey, we settled all of this. Apparently not, because they're still looking into it. But they're going to say, oh, the Democrats are coming after me, dude. If it's a law and it's on the books, and you violated it or possibly did, they have reason to come after you. It's not political. It's political, but it's not political. Did you break the law? That's the question. If you didn't break the law, then full disclosure, man, you're free. What do you got to hide? Full disclosure. Okay. Irregular spending by Trump's inaugural committee. Look it up. The story's out there. All you got to do, if you go to the site, click on these boxes, they'll break it down. Okay? They will break it down. Improper Turkish influence inside Trump's campaign and administration. I know there's a Democratic senator that supposedly has some charges against him right now that has to do with Turkey. So like I said, maybe some of the Democrats actually profited from this. Politics, strange bedfellows. Okay? Alleged violations of the U.S. Constitution's emolument clause. Look that up. But Constitution and violation in one sentence should make us all nervous. Russian disinformation campaigns. Oh my goodness, there's Trump with his boy Putin again, right? Allegedly illegal operations by the Donald Trump Foundation. Wow. Now, this is his own foundation. Now, I'm saying alleged because they don't want to be sued, and I get it. And maybe we can say it's all alleged, so that I don't have them coming back to me. But out there, United States versus Maria Butina. Can you say the Russians again? What's up with this dude and the Russians? What's going on with this cat and the Russians? And there's more stuff out there. Okay. But these are the things that are actually linked with this guy. You got all of these things that are linked with this guy. And so this becomes problematic, very problematic. I mean, what's going on? And we can actually take a look at this, and just real quick, in case you're not getting it. If you're not understanding it, I'm going to run this one more time, just real fast, okay? So we start off with, they call it Trump's problems. And no, it's America's problem. Violation of campaign finances, unregistered lobbying, unregistered foreign lobbying, irregular super PAC finances, allegations of tax fraud, tax evasion by the Trump family, United States versus Maria Butina, allegedly illegal operations of the Donald Trump Foundation, right? What's the next one? Russian disinformation campaign, alleged violations of the U.S. Constitution's Emoluments Clause, and proper Turkish influence inside Trump's campaign and administration. All right. And so I'm not going to go into them right now. Like I said, I'm just, giving you more of kind of an idea, a hint of what's all around this guy. And we need to think twice. What is all around this guy? Sure, there's a lot of his folks were charged. Some of them did jail time. But they're his folks. And this is all under the Republican, Republican campaign, their desire for a dictatorship, for the Civil War to go their way, to recreate Christian nationalism, Nazism, all of this garbage. They are trying to destroy the country. And they're going to blame you instead. They're going to have you fighting over, things like abortion, right? They're going to have you fighting over, human rights, civil rights, education. Things that common sense that people need. Everybody needs to be treated in a human way. Okay. And our conversations can be civil. We can do things in a civil fashion. That's one thing that the Constitution allows us to do. We don't have to destroy each other. We can actually debate back and forth. We can have discourse, and we can get to the point of solving our issues and moving forward, but we can't do it if we're hating each other. And this is why religion starts to play into all of it, or religious beliefs. They don't care about your religion. They just want to divide you. They want everyday people going after each other, to destroy each other, to take each other down. They want the chaos. While we're fighting each other, they steal from you. But I got to tell you, we don't get here without Bush and Cheney, without the Bush family. We don't have this breakdown, okay, without them. We simply do not. And if you think that moving forward, voting on the wrong side is going to make things better, you will not have the right to protest. You will not have the right to free speech. The guy already told you what he's going to do, who he's going to come after. He's already said that. Everybody's an enemy. He wants to basically turn, he wants to turn this into a military state, like a dictator, so that he can have control over every aspect of your life. He's already said that in so many words and in so many ways. This dude is so anti-American, it's ridiculous. I can't believe that anybody's even considering him to run. All I can think of is reruns of Green Acres, and Ted Cruz, looking like Mr. Haney, and what's the other guy down there in Florida? It reminds me of Jeb, a half-wit. And Donald Trump whipped those guys into submission like Mr. Douglas. He took his inner city, his New York City brain, and he outsmarted the Hicks, and now they follow him. Well, that's what they're saying. That industrialist is not such a bad guy after all. He paid attention to him, and now they're in love, right? And that's what it is. And when he goes and he holds his campaigns, he's campaigning. He isolates them like they're in one of those old churches that Christian nationalists like, no windows, and he's telling them exactly what they want to hear so he can get their vote. And then when he does get their vote, he's gonna screw them all. They didn't see that one coming, right? No, because what they say is lie to me, and people perish because they fall in love with the lie. They love illusion. And we have to remember how we got here. And so this is so important. And I always do this. I got to do this. Check it out. January 6th. Bunch of guys having a great shindig. It was real peaceful, right? I didn't see Trump out there with the Bible and the National Guard like he did Black Lives Matter, who were not actually on the ground, they were protesting and marching down the street. They actually did it the right way, but yet he had to send out the dog whistles to the racists and say, hey, I'm with you. You're not going to let these black folks, act like they got rights, right? And I don't know who these counterfeit black people are who stand behind them, black people for Trump. Sorry, guys, you lost that card a long time ago. You're a turncoat. You're what's called an Uncle Tom. Live with that name. Why don't you just say Uncle Tom for Trump? That's what you are. And the brain surgeon, man, I think you need to undergo some heart surgery and some spirit surgery because your brain is whack. Yeah, I know I said whack. It's pretty old, but my boy used to say that all the time with the emphasis, whack. Yeah, okay, the brain surgeon, and they put him in charge of housing, and they put him in some remote place where Trump didn't have to look at him. What a joke. And my man Kanye West, dude, whatever medication you didn't get it so you can open your mind, right? When you were in the office with Trump, man, he looked like his hemorrhoids were acting up every time you spoke to him or even went to touch him. You could see he was seething with pain, man. Seething with pain. And if you were in a whack-a-mole, he would have bashed your head in several times. Bro, get a hint. This dude has a history of racism. Everybody knows that. So I don't know what you were thinking with all the money that you have. Why are you tripping, man? Why are you trying to go to the other side? Great artist, man, but I don't get it. I don't understand it. You're out there. And I can only believe that you were co-opted after you said what you said about Bush. That's what I believe, that they got in and started working on your brain and you started giving love to the orange guy. Wow. Okay, yeah, I do have a lot to say, and this was kind of off script tonight. And but guess what? I actually love this country. I believe it has a lot of potential. And I'm talking about all of the good things that we spoke about. Yeah, we're always going to have some knocks. We have a journey to try to make this better. But the only way we do it is together, and us fighting each other, it's not going to work. Again, you cannot have progress where there's war. And right now they want to tear all this down. If this democracy falls, then they all fall around the world. And remember, New World Order. Oh, ain't no joke, man. Those cats were serious about it. That's why just pretty much every president talks about New World Order, because they're getting, they're getting their commands from the folks who have the real power. Mention that New World Order so that they start to suck that in. And chaos is part of the agenda so they can steal from you. So if you want to stop the steal of your democracy, stop the steal of America, and let's make this place better. Let's stick together. I'll see you later. I'm Michael P. America. Spread the love. Live in peace. Good night.
It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Cause baby, I feel real good and I wish I would. It's gotta be against the law to look this damn good. Everybody watch out. Watch out now. I'm ready for a good time. And I came to groove. The whole band's here and we came to move. Got a fresh haircut and 2 new shoes. We're here all night like we got nothing to lose. Coming out the jacket cause we're turning up the heat.